Welcome, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Mary Ann Hensley. I'm the Vice President of Media Operations for FreightWaves, and we are happy to present today's webinar in partnership with our friends at Turvo. Today, you're going to be hearing how companies can work to create frictionless logistics and exceptional customer experiences through supply chain collaboration. Joining me will be Ketan Karkhanis, Chief Product Officer at Turvo, and John Perkovich, who serves as Chief Operating Officer for RPM. We'll also have a live Q&A with both speakers following this discussion. And before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. First, if you have any issues during the webinar, you can reach out to our team via the audience chat function in your webinar console. And if you have questions that you would like to ask our speakers, you can enter those through the Q&A box in your console, and we will answer as many of those as possible during the live audience Q&A following the discussion. We will also be sending a link to the recording of this webinar tomorrow in case you'd like to view it on demand or share it with your colleagues. And at this point, I would like to go ahead and welcome Ketan and John. Glad to have you both here today. And if you don't mind, just tell us a bit about yourselves before we get started. Ketan, would you kick us off?
Of course. Thank you so much for hosting us. John, really excited about our conversation, and just want to straight off the bat thank you and the RPM team for the incredible partnership over the years. Thank you for joining this webinar with us. My name is Ketan Karkhanis. I am the Chief Product Officer at Turvo. Been in Turvo for more than a year, run product engineering and customer success. And, addressing problems in the supply chain has become sort of a passion project now. So really excited about the next hour.
Thank you, and I share those comments, Ketan. John Perkovich, Chief Operating Officer. I've been at RPM for about 9 months now. And RPM was founded in 2012 with a mission to focus on the underdeveloped markets while creating exceptional experience for our employees, our customers, and our carriers. Today, we arrange over 1,000 shipments a day divided between vehicle and freight. So we move full truckload, full vehicle loads, LTL, and less than a full truckload vehicle load. And we're excited to be here.
Excellent. Thank you both. And John, I really want to start with you. First, I just want to hear a little bit about what's happening at RPM post-COVID and what was the impact on your customers and your business during that time?
Yeah, first want to touch on just the resiliency and determination of our employees. It's like I've never seen before. They've worked extremely hard from home, making sure that we never skipped a beat, that we always delivered on our promises to our customers. We're excited. We're going to be back at 100%, at least in Royal Oak, where we're headquartered, on August 2nd. We're currently around 50%, and we cannot wait to have everybody back. The market's been challenging. We've experienced, obviously, the pandemic like everybody else. We're currently also going through some issues with our customers and their supply chain with the chip shortage. So the last 18 months or so have been extremely challenging. But we've worked together through collaboration, increasing customer or communication with our customers to understand their needs uniquely and not just a broad general conversation, but getting really specific to their needs on the challenges that they're facing and how we can work together to come up with solutions.
Got it. And I know that RPM has been on its own digitization journey. And so with that, what prompted your partnership with Turvo? And moreover, why digitization and why now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for us to be digital, not only because we need to keep up with our competition, but also we want to make sure that we are creating the best experience, like we said earlier, for our employees, for our customers and our carriers. It's important for us to do more. Relationships and technology are critical at RPM, and we couldn't do it without the technology that companies like Turvo and our other partners, as well as our proprietary software, allow for us to do it. One of the things that we really enjoy with Turvo, which allows for us to work with our customers, is we can share a tracking link. It works real well with our B2C customers. That way we're not asking our employees to constantly update the customer. It's right there in front of them. They can follow their shipment journey through a link. It's a great user experience. They can see their shipment on a map and the updates along the way. Additionally, we're working towards a marketplace. It's out there today in some regions with a lot of our carrier partners where they can actually get the right shipment for their needs. Instead of us offering them a bunch of shipments, we're prioritizing their needs through profiling and understanding what they truly want to make sure that we're not offering them shipments that really make no sense. And the marketplace is great. It's getting better and better every day with more density, and we're excited to see where that takes us in the future.
I mean, just to jump in out there, John, I mean, you hit on a couple of very important points, right? In your first comment, you talked about the past 18 months. And you guys should take some credit because you guys didn't skip a beat. And I know that because we are the technology provider, and my job was basically to ensure technology is the last thing you worry about. And you're only focused on your customers. And so congratulations to Team RPM on navigating. You know, good organizations are defined by how they navigate crisis. And you and your team have done a marvelous job doing that. So, and on the digitization front, you brought up two very simple points, but they have profound implications to the customer experience and productivity for you. And I think so that ties to the heart of how do you really have a maniacal focus on taking every business process you are interacting with and digitizing it, liberating it from email and follow-ups and phone calls and text messages to digital. That's a huge booster for especially a tough competitive situation in a market like freight movement. So really, really excited by the progress you guys are making.
Absolutely. We at RPM, we know that 90 to 95% of our shipments are going to go without an issue. And so our ability to manage by exception, working with tools like the ones that Turvo provides us is critical for our business. We want to make sure that we give all the attention to the issues, working with our customers and our carriers to create proactive solutions, but also troubleshoot in real time. And like you said, it's really managing by exception.
Yeah, it's like focus on things that need your attention rather than everything that's coming your way. We all get inundated by 100 emails in the inbox, and that's just not the way to scale your business. So yeah, we're exceptions. You're right, and I hope you guys are enjoying our exceptions and autopilot features. They are really incredible.
Absolutely, it allows us to do more. And I wouldn't. I'm glad you brought up our success. We are experiencing our second consecutive best quarter in our company's history, and we're extremely proud. Yeah, we got to actually celebrate with Anthony from Turvo, our account manager. He was in the office last week working on some further development of the tools and our abilities to use them. And it was actually a really nice partnership between Turvo and RPM, just sharing each other's successes last week.
That's awesome. Congratulations on a great quarter.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations, and kind of keeping things moving forward. You know, we really hear the word visibility thrown around a lot, especially today, and we all know it's important, but it also means different things to different people. So, John, at RPM, how do you truly drive transparency and visibility across your supply chain, and what does that really mean for the company?
Yeah, we kind of look at visibility as like a window in, a peek into how the shipment is progressing. We're a tech-enabled transportation provider, and we take a lot of pride in that. We can help identify current gaps in the supply chain and assist our shippers to fill those gaps or work with them. The real-time visibility tools give shippers an up-to-the-minute holistic view of how their not only their freight, but also their vehicle supply chains are performing. And everybody loves pinging and understanding where shipments are. We want to take that one deeper and not only give the update of how the shipment's progressing, but like I said earlier, managing the exceptions where when they happen.
And that's the kicker, right? I mean, visibility 1.0, I call it, was just telling you where stuff is, right? Okay, fine. What's the point about knowing something if you can't do anything about it? It sounds pretty simple, but it is. And that ties to the point John made, is when you see something, you want to act on it. Most importantly, you don't want to see everything. You want to focus on things that need your attention. And slowly, as you can see, Marianne, we are defining visibility 2.0, which is not which is about focus on a prioritized list of things that need your attention. And when something goes beyond the guardrails you have set up for your business or your relationship with your customer, you should be able to act on it in context, not have to swivel chair, go to another product, go to this, go to that. And I think so that's what is key, because for us, it's visibility 2.0 is not just seeing things, but addressing them and collaborating with your customers and your ecosystem. So it's three things all rolled up into one. And that's like visibility 2.0. I think so that's where the industry is going. In fact, all of our customers are already there, and I'm sure more will join.
I couldn't agree more. And if I can add, is as important as it is for shippers, it's also equally important for carriers too, that when issues are happening, whether they are caused by delays or out of their control, it's really on transportation providers, brokers, to work with the shippers to get that shipment delivered as quickly as possible, proactively troubleshooting, whether it be dock appointments or making sure that labor is available to unload the truck. Not every shipment's going to go according to plan, but if we work together, shipper, broker, and carrier, it will make for a seamless and better experience for everybody involved.
Absolutely. And you mentioned visibility 2.0, Ketan, and obviously the importance of collaboration as a part of that. So John, is collaboration or collaborative logistics an area where RPM is really investing, and where do you feel like that fits into kind of your bigger transformation picture?
Yeah, so we understand the fun part about RPM is that we don't just work in one vertical. We work with vehicle customers. We work with freight customers that have high and heavy shipments. And so we understand that there are all different ways to tender us a shipment via API, EDI, email, over the phone. And so we want to take those shipments in and collaborate with them on really what's the best way to move those shipments. Some customers will tender us 300 vehicles, and they just need them picked up by a certain date. Some customers will give us hundreds of pallets, and they just need them shipped out in the most cost-effective way. We have an order management system that takes all that in, considers the weight requirements, considers the size of the vehicle required, and we try to optimize the route. Some have multiple picks, some have multiple delivery. And so collaborating with our customers on the most cost-effective and highest quality means to transport that shipment. Additionally, that feeds nicely into our marketplace, like we touched on before, where carriers can come in and they can say, this shipment works perfectly with another one that I have, whether it's a backhaul or it's a lane that they are not dense in, and they want to try to add additional volume to that corridor. Additionally, in the vehicle space, car haulers will have a 9-car stinger, we like to call it. So there'll be 9 car spots on it, and they might not have a full load, so they might only have 6 spots taken on their truck, and we help offer out 3 more VINs to make sure that they're full from point A to point B, and that's really how we look at it from a collaborative standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? It's kind of interesting if you look at more than 70% of the supply chain participants are not within the 4 walls of your company. I mean, they are not people sitting behind John in that beautiful office space of his, which we should talk about, because I visited RPM recently, and I'm telling you, it's like a tech company. It's like a proper legitimate tech organization. It's just mind-bogglingly amazing. But the idea is not all of them are back there. For everything John and his team need to do, 70% of the people are not within the 4 walls of their company. And there is no other way but to collaborate and to do that in a digital sense, to do that in context of that particular stinger or whatever he's talking about. And not now I'm not a transportation specialist, clearly. And that is key. I think so. For too long, we have thought about supply chain as technology for logistics or supply chain as primarily, oh, I need yet another TMS, or oh, I need yet another XYZ system. But the idea is none of them actually address the fundamental mechanics of the supply chain, which is it's distributed, it's fragmented, it's across the world, and you need to tie all these participants on a digital network. That's what sometimes jokingly I called as RPM net. That's RPM's network, and Turvo is giving that technology to provide that collaboration. So it's pretty exciting what's happening out there, and progressive companies, technology forward companies are having tremendously successful quarters. And if you're not, you're not.
Yeah, I think too, I mean, our customers, we have to give them the best cost possible to move their shipment. And we've identified that one of the best ways to do it is to removing or automating the repetitive tasks as much as possible. I think what you're saying is it's not only is it collaboration, it's understanding where automation can apply. What can we do to remove some of the labor-intensive activities that technology is being able to automate or streamline better? Load scheduling, offering shipments out. We were talking about that earlier. How do we offer our shipments out quicker using tools that Turvo provides? How do we cut down on the back and forth with carriers regarding payment, using the carrier tenant, which gives carriers the ability to see where their invoice is in the process, if there's any rejections or any missing paperwork. Those things allow us to give our customers a better price, a more cost competitive quote, and really a better experience, because we're focused on our customers and our carriers and their experience, and less about the repetitive processes that have really plagued this industry for a long time.
Keep doing the same thing again and again, hoping for a better alternative. That never happens.
That's
it
right.
It just never happens that way.
Absolutely. And John, I want to hear a little bit more about that experience. What impact have you seen digitization have on your customer experience? And what are the results of that so far?
I think the number one result has been our ability to quickly source capacity for their shipments. Our customers expect us to find every available truck possible for all of their shipping needs. So using smart load tendering, smart load boards, which will feed into a better end-to-end digitization, analytics, and then, of course, like we talked about earlier, the real-time GPS tracking links that Turvo allows us to share right from our system to our customers. It depends on the size of the customer. Not every customer is going to want to get a tracking link for all 300 shipments they might give us in a month, but those tools apply in Turvo, where we can share that link, or we're connecting with other data or tracking aggregators, to make sure that we're giving our customers that visibility that they ask us to provide them on every shipment. Additionally, we look at it as one of the benefits are the zero capital investment. Our technology, thanks to Turvo, is available to our customers with no minimum, whether you do one shipment or you're doing 100 shipments. All these tools are available to our customers every single day. We find, we were talking about earlier, Ketan, about the ability to collaborate and work together on our centralized platform. So RPM, even though we do work with different verticals, we do have one centralized place, which is Turvo's load board. And we find that allows us to update our customers as quickly as possible, to troubleshoot and really give transparency, a look in, like we talked about earlier.
It's an interesting point you brought up very subtly, that the capex, dollars are precious, no matter how well you're doing. Mm-hmm. Resources are precious in all our organizations, and digitization doesn't have to mean a hefty bill, because here's the trick, right? Just you can't go digital. You have to have your customers and your ecosystem also digitized. Otherwise, you fall down the analog cliff. You're digital, and suddenly you fall down the analog cliff because this particular customer doesn't have that technology, and now you have to email them. So that's why fundamental to Turvo's business model is allowing your customers and your ecosystem to have Turvo at no additional cost to you. And that's what we call our network-centric data model. And that makes the job of rolling out technology not a CapEx endeavor, but a more of a transformation exercise. And that's very exciting to us. And I wanted to be sure all the viewers understand a very important point John had mentioned.
Great. And John, as far as the carriers themselves, how are you seeing them impacted by your advances in technology?
Yeah, we talked about our order management system as well as our marketplace. We believe that this is all coming together to create a more simplified workflow. It allows for them to focus on shipments that fit their needs versus sifting through posting sites and getting emails and phone calls all day for shipments that really don't pertain to them. So we like we said, the simplified workflow, really auditing their receivables, and we have the ability to immediately pay our carriers. This allows for a better experience. Trucking companies, truck drivers have a lot to worry about. And for us, we want to make sure that their experience with RPM on how they get shipments and how the shipments get settled is the last thing they have to worry about. Providing them with real-time information, less errors, we want to keep their trucks full. We want to make sure that the drivers and the carriers are getting the right shipments every single day, and really be a one-stop shop for all of their needs, whether it's going to be one vehicle or one pallet or a full truckload of vehicles or a full truckload of freight. We profile our carriers every single day. We ask them on the front end what their needs are to make it for a much more seamless experience on the back end. And we found that to be widely accepted and appreciated from our carriers.
All right, great. And then moving on, tell me a little bit about the flywheel effect. What is it? What effect is it having on creating a more streamlined carrier experience? And what does it ultimately mean for your end customer as well?
I think, the flywheel and streamlined experience can be looked in a lot of different ways. You could even call it the chicken versus the egg. For us, we want to make sure that we fill up. We want to have as dense of a network as possible. We want to get as many shipments in there to match as many carrier needs as possible to create a frictionless experience. We believe the more density drives better cost, reduces deadhead, and gives the carrier and the customer really the experience that they deserve. It allows for us to also create a more personalized load matching experience for the carriers. We start to understand where they're going to continuously have gaps in their needs on the carrier side, so we can start to offer out shipments in advance based on historical information, saying, we know you're going to be in St. Louis next Tuesday because you've taken a shipment from us every Tuesday out of St. Louis. Let's start talking about how we get that shipment over to you in advance. As we continue to build out our network of shipments, in addition to our network of available carriers, it's going to create a much more dense and better experience as it pertains to the flywheel.
All right, great. Ketan was nodding. I wasn't sure if he was going to jump in there for a second.
No, I mean, he said it all. I want to jump in, but I can't say anything more profound, so I'm just going to zip it.
Got it. All right. And then kind of ultimately, how do you feel like your partnership with Turvo is helping to drive transformation within your organization? And what is your end goal or vision for this partnership?
Yeah, I think continue to build upon the integrations, collaborate on the current automation capabilities, but more importantly, where can we automate in the future? We've touched on the centralization that Turvo provides us, and we love how it optimizes the experience for not only our customers and for carriers, but our employees as well. And I think the number one thing is really to continue the conversations that we have around best practices and where the industry's headed, And I think it all starts with sessions like this, where we talk about our experiences, our customers and our carriers' feedback when collaborating on the issues that they're having, and then communicating that back and forth with Turvo, and then seeing what they can come up with to help address these needs.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best meetings I had with RPM, and they've been with us for a little bit, was we spent a whole day at RPM just recently, less than a month ago. And that's the best part of my job is, you can go spend a whole day with a customer. And we really got immersed in not, hey, what features are you building, Ketan, versus, we need XYZ, but what is the strategic direction RPM is heading? Sergio, the entire RPM leadership team, Turvo leadership team, we were in the room talking about here's where RPM is going in the next 3 to 5 years. Rather than making it a technology-centric discussion, here's where the business needs to go. And now fill in the gaps with what is the technology we need to, turbocharge that particular growth. I feel like that's one of the ethos of Turvo is we are not here just to throw more technology over the fence. We want to have an impact on the business. We want to be part of that transformation journey you are undertaking. So for example, now spending a lot of time with John and his team, not just on cool marketplace functionalities, but also doing the basics incredibly well. And he mentioned employees. See, this is also an important point. How can we improve our interfaces, our workflows, such that employee productivity keeps going up? And that has a direct correlation to not just margins, of course, but customer experience. So we are not just looking at cool stuff, awesome DFM capabilities and all that stuff. We are also grounded in what I say, doing the basics incredibly well. And that's how this partnership is growing, and I'm sure it's going to thrive. Is number one is really strong leadership alignment, real transparency in the relationship. If something's wrong, we talk about it. And then having a real balanced view of not just innovation, but doing the basics incredibly well. That's how we focus in Turvo on customer engagement. And that's really exciting to us because when you go and you visit, I actually had this chance to go visit the RPM office. They were open like 25% and slowly ramping up towards August deadline. And it was amazing to see Turvo on all these screens and people working and live loads moving and all that kind of stuff happening. That was exciting to see. And that actually makes it even more apparent that whatever technology you choose, you need to answer the question, is it going to help your employees do their job better? Are they going to be more delighted by using it? Or are you just replacing a TMS or something with yet another 5 technologies and you're still rejecting? I think so. That's the heart of what Turvo does for you is unify and collaborate. It's kind of straightforward.
Yeah, I think communicating how we use the tools today and how we would like to use the tools in the future, and having a seat at the table at Turvo, but Turvo also having a seat at the RPM table to discuss really how we work as an extension of each other is critical. If we were to build all of the tools out in-house, we'd want to have that experience, and that seamless interaction between Turvo and RPM is critical for us in the future.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thank you both so much for sharing your perspectives and for the discussion. And at this point, we would go ahead and take some questions from those of you in the audience. So if you have not already submitted those, you can do so through the Q&A section in your control panel. And we do have a couple of questions so far, so I will go ahead and dive into those. First question. Let's see, can you speak a bit about the balance between technology and relationships? Should logistics providers put more eggs in one basket, or are they equally important?
I can go first if you want, John, but I want to hear your thoughts because you and I slightly touched upon this when we met.
Go right ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great question, Ryan. I feel like, and I want to answer your question, but I want to pose a better question to you. The question was, should logistics providers put more eggs in one basket? Are they equally as important? And my question is, do what's right for your customer. The question you should be asking is, what do I need to deliver an amazing customer experience or an amazing partner experience? And if the answer to that is two tools, great. Normally, less tools is better. That's the general trend in technology. And I think so, have an approach of, are we building a set of microservices capabilities that all interact with each other? Because there will absolutely be a need for best of breed. One tool cannot do everything. That's just, then you're like, so for in everything. You will need best of breed. But if your technology stacks are so steel piped and siloed and they don't interact with each other, then it's as good as not having them. So that's why the approach Turvo has taken is, we give you that digital platform, we give you a certain set of capabilities which you will use. And for certain set of capabilities, like in RPM's case, their order management is not in Turvo as of now. We would love for it to be, but as of now, let's be transparent. It's not in Turvo, right? That is a tool that is best of breed, really works well, and it's amazing, and they have it. But it's interfaced with Turvo because we have an API first mindset. We have a technology which is an open technology mindset. The point I'm trying to make is, there is no rule of thumb that one is better than three or two is better than one. The idea is, what's the right thing to do for the customer? And no matter what technology you choose, you want a platform like Turvo that can seamlessly connect to everything. We just recently, I would advise you to go Google Turvo Integration Hub. We just launched a whole new product suite around integration and making integrations easier. So I feel like that's my quick answer. But John, why don't you chime in?
Yeah, I think just to continue on that, I think it's hard to have one without the other. They're both equally important. And in this business, there are plenty of use cases where the relationships and the human side of it just are not going to be replaced anytime soon, at least not with any technology that's out there. And that's great. I mean, I think that having the relationship with the shipper, with the customer, with the carrier and the driver and the employees is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. But the technology allows for us to enhance those experiences and increase those processes, which make them more effective. And like we talked about, removing some of the monotonous tasks or the repetitive tasks that don't allow them to give their full attention to the person on the other side of it, whether it be the shipper, the customer, or the carrier. The technology enables or enhances that experience, and so I think it's one and the same.
And it goes back to the example you gave about the tracking links you send to your customers, right?
That's right.
You're a very relationship-based transportation provider. I know some of your customers and they love you. But imagine if that customer had to call John every day, 5 times a day to find out what's happening. That relationship is going to go south very quickly.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And that goes to the point of technology enables a more strategic and mutually beneficial relationship. So they kind of go hand in hand. One cannot go with the other.
And setting it up on the front end, right? Because there's going to be issues, and we know that there's going to be requests for updates or for information. If you set it up on the front end and say, here's how we're going to handle the updates that are good or not necessarily needing further explanation, and then I'll be available to handle the exceptions or the issues when they do occur. They don't happen very often, especially at RPM, but when they do occur, we want to make sure that our people are freed up because the technology is handling that the stuff that doesn't need human intervention.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Great. Thank you both. And next question for you. It says, how are both companies using technology to mitigate issues such as the global chip shortage?
Go ahead.
I'll take it 5 minutes. I mean, I can see why the question will come up because global chip shortages are in the news every day. And, one of the key aspects is the reason these things happen is everybody in the supply chain network is kind of operating in their own silo, and they don't have a proactive or even ability to reactively understand and do better joint planning joint coordination, and joint addressal of any issue. I want to be clear. It's not like we are building a feature in the product which is going to address global chip shortages, but I can tell you there are going to be 100 such more shortages in the next year or 2 years to come. And I feel like the approach we are doing is going to the fundamental of, if everybody in the supply chain can coordinate and collaborate on the same digital network, the probability of surprises goes down. You can never eliminate fully a force majeure event. You cannot do that, right? But how can you handle these better is when you are on the same network, when you are working on the same set of data, and when you can understand and plan and execute together. And that's the definition of collaboration, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think using technology to help with visibility, we're also working with our customers if they have to source their product from different areas, discussing where capacity may or may not be, if those areas are going to be, more troublesome. So discussing really what other opportunities exist besides the traditional way. When things were going according to plan, when there wasn't a chip shortage, some customers weren't thinking about what impact it might be to source the product from a different area, or if they have to shift their supply chain. And so we're working with our customers to understand what their needs are and what they're doing to get around this as well. I think that it's created a lot of challenges for many customers. The demand for new vehicles, the demand for vehicles in general, to auto suppliers, it's really required them to rethink their supply chain. As a top vehicle logistics provider that work in all different sectors of the auto industry, we're acutely aware of the biggest challenges that our customers are facing. And, we're doing that through collaboration. We're bringing solutions that are tech backed to try and get through this. And we're really, we're really excited for what we're going to offer our customers as we move into a less hectic, pandemic and then a chip shortage. And we're really excited to see what the new normal looks like when this is all calmed down in the next 6 to 9 months.
Great. And you both have touched on this a bit throughout the webinar, but the last question that we have for right now, what does collaboration really mean to both RPM and Turvo? How would you define it, and why is it so critical?
John, I can take a first stab and then you can come there second. Let me give you guys a framework, a very simple framework. First, number one, whether you agree, first decide whether you agree with the statement I'm about to make. 70% of the people that are involved in your supply chain are not within the four walls of your company. They're in different technologies, different zones, different geographies, different languages, everything different. Now, if you agree with that thesis, which is reality, then you're a team. To move one thing from point A to point B, you have a team. Some of your employees, some of the shippers, some of the customers, some of the carriers and freight forwarders, and everybody in between. Now, what does collaboration mean? For a good team to succeed, the team has to do two things. Number one, be on the same page. Number two, work towards the same goal. That's it. And what we define collaboration is being on the same page is that real-time, actionable visibility that everybody gets to the same shipment, all the participants working on it, so that at any given point of time, anybody in the network can really understand exactly what things are. And that real-time nature, contextually relevant, is critical, being on the same page. Working towards the same goal, well, there are countless examples of things that happen when stuff is moving. I'll give you one simple example. You have exceptions come up, and your carriers need to resolve those exceptions because you have SLA compliance with your shippers. Now, how do you do that today? You send your carrier an email saying, well, what happened? You missed an appointment. You were 30 minutes late, yada, yada, yada. And the carrier responds to you. Then you take it in, you type it in somewhere, and then it goes somewhere else. You're trying to work together, but you're not. What Turvo does is gives you carrier exception resolution. So if there's an exception, you can assign it to the carrier, which is on your network. The carrier all has to do is click on that link, gets the beautiful Turvo, gorgeous user interface, update the exception, and at that very minute, it's all updated in the entire chain. There is no movement of data per se. So that's one example of working towards the same goal. And I think so in every digitized offers, your tender rejection rates are at an all-time high, and you want to start blasting out ad hoc spot bids. Well, you can start going to individual load boards and start calling down your favorite list and do all those things. Or you can use our digital offer, blast that offer out. The carrier can negotiate digitally, accept, reject. It's like Uber, bidding on something. And that's another example of working towards the same goal. I could keep going on, but the idea is collaboration is be on the same page, visibility to auto, work towards the same goal, which is execution in context. And that's how I would define collaboration. John, over to you.
Yeah, I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'll give you more of a real example. So operational excellence is extremely important at RPM. Our goal is to be extremely sound in our processes. And so we're working with Turvo to make sure that we are using the tools appropriately. And we're not going to stop, we're going to stop at first effect. We're going to make sure that not only are our employees using the tools, but using them as effectively as possible. And we shared this during our meeting that you talked about earlier about our goals as a company and how Turvo can help those goals through the tools that they provide us with. And it's really, I think, collaborating, but also understanding where each company's trying to go. Yeah, we want to be the best transportation provider in both freight and vehicle. But what does that mean? And for us, it's operational excellence. It's creating the best experience for our customers, for our carriers, and our employees, and taking a deep dive into how Turvo can help us accomplish those goals is really for us what collaboration means.
All right, great. Thank you both. And we have had a couple more come through here. This one, Ketan, sounds like for you. How does Turvo apply or work for a shipper who uses multiple global LSPs?
Okay. To think about it this way, if you're a shipper and you work with multiple global LSPs, each of them you have on Turvo, they are basically a tenant of you. Get Turvo for free, so whether they are tendering loads to you or giving you visibility, you have one central control tower, the real control tower, not that 1980s kind of control tower, where all these LSPs are flowing that business to you, and you can have full visibility and actionability on that. But it also ties to, well, how do you keep things separate? Does one LSP see the other LSP's work when I'm the shipper and I have a central? That goes to the heart of Turvo's network-centric data model. It's a very important point, so I'm going to spend a couple of minutes on this. See, when we decided to build this product, we did not want to just build yet another logistic technology solution. Fundamentally, we question what is the underlying technology data model required for this to work? Because LSP A working on shipment A should not be seeing LSP B's shipment B, though both A and B have been tendered by the same shipper and the shipper is getting one complete view. So that's what built into Turvo is a robust security model and the idea of groups, wherein you are only sharing information pertinent to that person's business, and they are not seeing anything else, though all of them are in Turvo. It's a little bit like LinkedIn, like you have your network, you see their updates. But if somebody's not in your network, you're probably not going to see their updates unless they've made it public. So it's the same network-centric data model that's built into it. And the heart of that is our sharing algorithms, which are very robust and privacy-centric and allows full control for you as a customer to decide who sees what when. And that's something that we focus on a lot.
If I can add on that, if I can add to that, so I did not mention earlier in the webinar that RPM chose Turvo because we are one of the only privately held multi-continent operations with business in North America and EU, servicing customers in both continents, and we're extremely proud of that. And Turvo allows for us to be able to accomplish that.
Great, thank you both. And next question here, Ketan, if you want to kick this off, are there data sharing concerns or considerations that different parties in the ecosystem need to think about when it comes to enabling digitized shipping?
Oh, absolutely. Not just regulatory, but there's also business process, right? And that's why you can't fit a square peg in a round hole, right? That's why you cannot use visibility 1.0 technologies, like so many of them, or an old TMS to solve this problem. You need to have a ground up different view of a network centric data model, because it's very important that a carrier is not seeing certain information about that shipment which only you and the shipper are seeing. A carrier or if there are two LSPs, they are seeing only what is pertinent to them. So I think so it's an absolutely important consideration. And the best part is we have built the network-centric data model to answer those very questions. So I'm very happy you asked that deep question out there.
Absolutely. And next question. Currently, the supply chain industry is experiencing bottleneck and capacity constraints. Are these prevailing issues more regionally focused? For example, is the Pacific Northwest experiencing the same constraints as the Southeast? Is that something you guys can speak to?
Only John can speak to that.
I mean, some days I wish that it was just in one region or the other, but I think overall the entire industry is experiencing bottlenecks in capacity. Some corridors, some lanes are a little bit easier based on available trucks or based on the desire to go where the shipment is going to deliver out in. But overall, there was a lot of pent-up demand coming out of the pandemic, and the supply of trucks is nowhere near the amount of available shipments every day. And unfortunately, it's not just in one region or the other. It's across the country.
All right. Well, it looks like that is all of the questions that we have. So thank you all for taking the time to listen in today. Thank you so much to our friends at Turvo for partnering with us on today's presentation. And of course, thank you to John and RPM and Ketan for being here to share your insights with us today. As I mentioned earlier, we will also be sending a link to the recording of this webinar tomorrow via the email that you used to register in case you would like to view it on demand or share it with your colleagues. We appreciate you being here and hope you'll join us again for another webinar very soon. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe.
Thank you.